All right, we are live. Welcome back, everyone. It is your Six Covered. Appreciate you showing up. And tonight's topic is women shooters of NRL promoting the sport. So we're going to have some fun tonight. We're going to bring on three special ladies, special guest of the night to talk about women shooters and trying to promote the NRL sport, PRS, any style of shooting. Basically, let's get those ladies out there, have some fun, and learn from each other. So with that said, welcome to the show, ladies. We got Michelle, we got Teresa, and Ruth. So why don't you guys introduce yourselves from whoever to whoever. Ruth, go ahead, go first.
All right, Ruth Susie. I've been shooting for just about 3 years now, mostly PRS rimfire style, a lot of NRL 22, and I actually host matches as a match director as well.
Teresa Jurish. I've been shooting this for just over a year, so still very new, but getting there. It's been a lot of fun.
And I'm Michelle Schroeder. I've been shooting the longest of all of us for about 3.5, maybe 4 years. And I also match direct. I don't do X matches though, just monthly matches here in Minnesota.
All right, and just so everybody knows, you guys are from Minnesota. Minnesotians, as I like to call it. We argued about this at the match the other day. And let's just get it out of the way. You guys came all the way down. How many hours was it?
17.
17 hours driving. And what'd you guys think of Chris Simmons' match?
It was good. So obviously we shot some matches with Chris before. Michelle and I were at NRL 22 Nationals last year, and I shot down in Texas with him at the PRS finale for rimfire, and I expected it to be challenging. It was really fun. I enjoyed the stages kind of pushing me a little bit more. It was, I know, I know. I was actually, I had a great time. But that might have had something to do with the steel that I brought home with me. I don't know. I mean, at the time, I felt like I was having a good time, but I also felt like I was getting my butt kicked. And then at the end of the day, it turned out okay. So
you shot amazing. All of you guys shot amazing. And there was a lot of hardware that headed north after that match.
Yes, the minivan, the rocking minivan.
So you guys came down, whooped a lot of our butts, 98% of them. I think it was. So Ruth, you got a second overall in open. Somebody pulled off. Who got top ladies or something?
That was me.
Awesome! Congratulations. Yeah, I was like, look at this. This is. I love going somewhere to another state and grabbing their trophy and bringing it home. So, congratulations, you guys, on doing that. That was
thanks.
Amazing. So
yep, and our counterpart Steph, she took home the production trophy. So we didn't realize there was a production class, and she's shooting her Tika T1X with the Match Pro on it. That's like all stock factory, everything. And I was like, she's shooting production. So that was fun too.
That's awesome. Yep. 3 pieces of hardware headed north. So let's see here. Let's start off with Ruth. So tell us about the podcast, NRL, things you got going on in the wide world of sports here.
Yeah. So I've really enjoyed the whole organization and the community surrounding it. So the great thing about this sport that I've found is that as much as you want to get involved, you can get involved. So just my personality type, I just got involved. So I started directing matches, monthly matches right off the bat. As soon as they announced the X series, my boyfriend Justin and I, we put on X matches as well. We founded a company called Midwest Precision Shooting. For training and coaching. So we do training and coaching and classes and things like that. And then this year, with, I guess, the interaction I've had with NRL 22, they asked me to be on the advisory board. So I joined that 2 months ago. And then last month, they asked me to host the NRL 22 podcast. So that launched last month. We've got the next episode, I think, releasing on the 1st of April. So either Friday or Monday of this week. Episode 2 will be on, which is going to cover NRL 22 Nationals for this year. So it should be good. I'm getting better at hosting. So I would appreciate the feedback if people email me and tell me these guys listened to episode 2 and were like,
well, I watched it yesterday.
Yeah.
And it seemed like you had Travis on there with NRL, and it was a good podcast. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
Not too shabby. Teresa, tell us how you got into the wide world of sports here.
It's these girls' faults.
We'll take it.
Yeah, you guys.
My husband had started doing this 3 years prior to me doing it, and he's like, "So there's this class for intro for ladies. If you want to, maybe, I don't know." And I'm like, "Sure, sounds good. Let's go." And yeah, it was a great class, little intro. And I was like, "Oh, this is what he's doing as he leaves every weekend." And it's just that was a little over.
Oh, cute. Thanks, Bevan.
So I started, my boyfriend shoots center fire PRS matches, or in our area NRL matches. And one of the guys at our club hosts like an intro match to get new shooters involved. And I went to that and it was really fun, but I couldn't see myself spending that kind of money to get a center fire gun. So we found out that our club was running NRL 22, and I started doing that. Which I have since found out is not any cheaper. I have spent just as much on my rimfire as I did on my center fire.
But you can shoot more ammo for the same price.
Well, you don't have to reload.
And that's
true. But
That
I also shoot center fire, not as much in the last year or so, just because components are harder to come by. But now my boyfriend and I both shoot both center fire and rimfire together.
Awesome. Now, what other sports in shooting do you guys do at all? Did you guys start a background somewhere else, like in 3-gun or pistol stuff or sporting clays? Or so this is
Nope.
Probably when you were kids, you learned how to shoot a 22 for fun with your parents or something. No, I see 2 no's. Okay. And then so let's go on to that. So Ruth, you shot with your parents when you were young.
Yep.
And then so Teresa and Michelle, what year was the first time you ever fired a pistol or a firearm?
2015.
Wow. Okay.
14 maybe. I mean, I got my first permit to carry. Not that I ever carry, but it was more like my husband's into this. He has guns. I want to have familiarity. I want to understand. I want to have some knowledge.
Yeah.
So got that. It expired and I had to re-get it. And I don't think I shot between getting it and after, other than a little kind of warm up to that. So I really hadn't shot much of anything before getting into this, which is still kind of astounding to me.
So then NRL is the gateway. The gateway drug.
Yeah,
It is.
loads of fun.
For me,
Yeah,
I did a little bit of trap shooting at family holidays out of state. And that was the first experience I had shooting a gun ever. And that was probably 20 years ago now. But we did that once or twice a year. I had never shot a rifle really for the most part until I did the intro class and then hopped straight into NRL 22.
Wow. Actually, Brad brings up a great point. He says they need ladies to shoot free weekends so we can get more girls shooting. They put pretty in there, but
It's okay.
but yeah, that's kind of a good idea. That's the reason for the whole chat tonight is trying to figure out a way to promote women to shoot. And it's not just NRL, PRS style shooting. It's whatever they're into, or whatever maybe their friend is doing. Maybe it's 3-gun or whatever the case. But get them out there, get them shooting. Do you guys any sponsors or anything you guys want to talk about or any of that?
So I will say that we have a Minnesota Lady Shooters group. There's like probably 15 of us now. That has grown exponentially because Michelle was one of the only ladies, or was the only lady when she was shooting at first. Then I was the only lady at my club for a long time. Now we have a good showing of lady shooters at every monthly match and big ones. So we have a group of lady shooters that we put together, and we're wanting to make jerseys that say Minnesota Lady Shooters, and there's a couple spaces available where we can put sponsor logos. So if anyone wants, reach out to me. We'll hook you up and let you help pay for those. So yep, that's all I got for sponsors.
Hey, there might be someone on here that's just got a few extra $1 million they want to burn. So
I don't know what kind of jerseys you have down there, but
I don't wear a jersey. I can't wear a jersey when a bunch of Minnesotians come and whoop my ass on Saturday. No, I'm excited for you guys for doing so well at that match.
Yeah, it was really fun. We didn't really know what to expect. So our other lady that went down with us couldn't be here tonight, but she and I were just talking. Our husbands know each other from childhood, and so we roped her into this. And she's like, I don't know if I want to do anything more than the monthly matches. She's still shooting her Tika. The guys really wanted to push her to get into a fancier rifle. She's like, I'm doing well with it. She's finishing in the top 3 at our club matches, which sometimes have up to 50 shooters. So
wow,
doing very well with her little Tika and her CCI standard that she's shooting out of it. So I was like, well, let's find out. Yeah. Oh, that's what she was shooting at the match. Yeah. Wow. And without confirming dope, but I'm not sure past 200 if you can do that.
Geez, you're just making me feel worse by the second. This is awesome.
So we just ended up sitting down and I was like, well, let's go shoot an X match. We'll see if you really want to get into this next level of competition. So that's really what it was about. And then she's like, well, I have a van we should drive. And I was like, okay, hey, Michelle, Teresa, we should do a road trip and we're going to bring the ladies and we'll leave the guys at home. And so
this sounds like a bad comedy movie starting over. I could imagine what
there was a lot of comedy that
17 hours north and south kind of fiasco it was. I'm sure it was quite fun.
Driving through Chicago at 2 a.m. on the way home, that was the highlight.
I don't need to ever go to Chicago again, ever.
I would have figured out a way to go around Chicago.
Well,
that's the key.
We did on the way out, but on the way back, we just followed the GPS because it was 2 a.m.
We were gonna.
Oh, 2 a.m. in Chicago, even better.
It was
even
great.
Well, hopefully you had something loaded and ready to go if you need it.
We can't confirm or deny that.
Yes.
So do any of you guys carry concealed? And if so, what's your pistol of choice in caliber?
I do. I recently got a new Kimber Micro 9. I had been carrying a Bodyguard 380, but I hate shooting that one. It's just too hard on my hands, and if I can't practice with it, I don't really want to carry it. And the Micro 9 is just a lot more comfortable. It's a little bit bigger, but it actually is more comfortable to carry too.
Okay. Now, go ahead. If anybody else carries them, let me know.
I carry a Glock 43X. I just got recently. I was carrying a Smith & Wesson M&P Shield 45, but it's TMI. Big surprise. Ruth's gonna come out with the handle was too rough on my skin on my hip, so I didn't enjoy that as much. And the 45s get a little heavy, so now I carry a 9 and I have the same weight, but with 12 to 15 rounds.
Yeah, no, I know. I hear you. That's awesome. That was going to be my next question is how do you carry in a purse or appendix or what? So
definitely appendix. I think purse carry. So when we were in the car, I didn't have my holster on, and I was paranoid the entire time because my gun was in my bag, and there's something about not being attached to it and having a loaded gun just hanging around that just introduces a different level of lack of safety. Danger is the word I was looking for. So to me, I really don't like carrying unless you're going to have it on you.
I agree. I just don't like, it's pretty easy for someone to come and grab your purse. It's a lot harder for them to get close enough to you to grab something off your body.
No, I agree, but you never know because gotta ask, I guess.
Well, and there's also the whole factor of, is women's clothing friendly in certain scenarios to carrying? So I totally get that aspect of it too. And there's a lot of outfit choices that aren't. And these days, I don't blame anybody for carrying in any situation. So
I would say purse carry would be better than nothing, but women's clothes are not particularly conducive to carrying at all. But we do the best we can.
No, that's understandable. I know there's those hurdles you got to get over.
Hurdles
or you can just wear baggy stuff.
Baggy stuff.
Yes, baggy stuff.
Yeah, because baggy stuff is just the best to wear.
All right. Let's see. Okay, so let's go over gear real quick because a lot of people want to know everything about gear, and especially since you guys are amazing shooters. maybe and being way up there in Minnesota, I know there's these brown rifles that shoot really well, and I saw lots of those out there, brown stock rifles. So I want to, if possible, let me know what rifle you're shooting, what style or what scope, ammo, and then your favorite like bags to utilize, and tripod or bipods.
So I can make the first part of that really easy because all three of us are shooting the same rifle. So we're shooting the On-Shoots 64 action in a trainer stock. These two still have factory barrels. I just got mine rebarreled with a Bart line. So I actually also had my primary one rebarreled with a Schillen 14 twist because I was trying that out, but I haven't finished tuning that just right. So the groups weren't looking good. So I went back to the backup with a Bart line 16 twist. So that's what I'm running. For my scope, I run a Night Force ATAC R. I had an NX8. I actually ran a Vortex PST Gen 2 for a while, but I learned to shoot by borrowing and sharing a rifle with Justin, and he had the On-Shoot 64 action as well, but he was running the ATAC R. So I went to the PST Gen 2, and going from, the ATAC R to the PST Gen 2 was really hard. So I got the NX8, which is very comparable, by the way, in my opinion. But the issue I had was moving down to the 30 millimeter tube from the 34. So I think that was the main difference why I went with the ATAC R eventually too. And I was like, well, if I'm going to do this for real, I might as well just spend all my money. So
I might as well just be broke.
Right. Why not? Exactly. So that's how I ended up there. And then for bags, I really like the OG Game Changer. That's what I try to run with, one bag, so I'm not over encumbered. That's been the one consistent across the board. I have a Whiskey Charlie mini fortune cookie, which I really like with the sticky, but it's so heavy in my pack. I just, the OG, if I have to pick one, that's the one I'm going to go with.
Heavy fill?
No, regular fill, standard.
Regular fill, okay.
Yeah.
Teresa?
Yeah, the On-Shoots. Yeah.
Don't know how that happened.
Yeah.
And also like the Night Force NX8.
Oh, I don't know how that happened.
Skypod also, don't know how that happened.
I'm a bad influence. If you want to save money, don't talk to me about gear.
Yeah, I hear so many things. Every once in a while, I'll meet a wife of a shooter, and they don't like me because we're showing gear off, and then their husband buys it, and then now it's my fault for some reason.
Yeah. See, so here's what you do: you rope the wife into it.
Yeah,
and then, the husband can spend
she wants to spend the money, so it's got that that ends that argument.
It does.
I got to work on that.
And then my bag, I actually do I think it's a game change. See,
you have the light fill.
I have the light fill. I
medium.
love the light fill. Medium, thank you.
Yep.
I just ask her because.
Yeah, I hear you.
But it's interesting too. I think with my husband, if I have questions on my On-Shoots, he's like, I don't know, ask Ruth. Thanks, honey. You're a big help.
He shoots a voodoo.
He does shoot a voodoo. And he just got a new chassis.
Oh, ooh. All right. We'll have to talk about that.
How about you, Michelle?
I also run an On-Shoots. It's actually my third rimfire. I've gone through Ruger Precision Rimfire was my first one. When I got started, then I went to a Voodoo, and now I've switched to the On-Shoots, and that's what I'm staying with for now, probably forever. I also run a Skypod. I do not have a Night Force. I don't make enough money to buy that. I run an Athlon Aries ETR, which is the same as what I run on my center fire.
Which you really like.
I do. I really like it a lot. What else? Oh, I also run the OG Game Changer. I've gone through every size Game Changer, and the medium's too heavy for me. Like, I don't want to carry that in my bag all day long. It's miserable. So the regular fill full size Game Changer is what I use for the most part. I do sometimes carry a solo sack with me in case the Game Changer won't fit somewhere, but I don't use that very often.
Do you guys run in pump pillows at all?
I made myself my very own version of a pump pillow that I use sometimes. I didn't bring it with me to North Carolina because I didn't want to bring that much, but usually I have one with.
It's seconds as a seat, though.
It does.
Well, yeah.
This is true. This is true.
I fell asleep on one of those one time.
Actually, I don't run a pump pillow intentionally because I feel very strongly that I feel like I'm still learning, first of all, but secondly, I'm probably at the point now where I need to start using one, to be honest, because I'm at that point. But I think a lot of people, when they start out, they get over encumbered by gear. And unless you're using it effectively, I mean, if you can't use one bag super effectively all the time, then adding something else in is actually not going to help you. It may be temporarily for like 1 or 2 shots, but because you're using all this gear and you don't know when to use it and when not to use it, you're actually hurting yourself more than you're helping when you're learning. So I'm at the point where I need to graduate and go, make a purchase and drag it around with me. I prefer to approach things super simple, clean. I force people at some of my matches with my course design. Anyone who shot the March NRL Course of Fire, I designed that. There was a stage where you don't get to use a rear bag. I like to force people to do stuff like that just to get them out of their comfort zone and realize you can be really stable without all that stuff. So,
yeah, well said. Well, how about plates? You guys running any plates at all?
I finally installed an ARCA rail on my gun 2 weeks ago. Otherwise, I was running a tiny little pick rail out at the front just for my bipod.
You're gonna love the ARCA rail when you can slide that whole bipod back on some funky, weird stage where you need to, or if you need to pivot farther, so you get targets from here to here, and you're kind of prone shooting, and you have it farther back. It's easier instead of having to move the stock way over. You just it's like that.
Yeah,
so that helps.
Yep. See, but then on the rooftop stage a couple weekends ago, I left my bipod on against my better judgment, but because I'm not used to being able to move my bipod, it was set back further. So I went to get on my Game Changer bag and I was like, knew I shouldn't have put this stupid thing on. So I had to take it off and that cost me time. Then I got all frazzled and I dropped a shot. It was sad.
Don't be getting frazzled.
Sometimes.
I don't know what the hell you're drinking right now, but don't be getting frazzled. We don't want that.
Clean water.
It's Minnesota lingo.
Tonight's chat is sponsored by Gold Peak. Not really. Let's see here. But it is sponsored by DP Gunworks out in Arizona. So if you guys are looking for a great rifle, go over to DP Gunworks. Get yourself an amazing laser beam.
Oh, they do laser beams? Tell me more about this. I've never heard of them.
No, you don't need them.
No? Okay.
No, you already beat me. So it's like for the rest of you out there, though, you know where to go. How about most memorable day shooting? It could be when you were 10 years old with your dad, or it could be you won a match or whatever. What's your most memorable day of shooting?
Anyone got one?
I can't. So
okay, good.
I've been chasing Ruth for a while and could never get first place in ladies. And not that she was shooting at the match that I finally took, but it was actually my second time getting first place. But the match that Ruth and Justin ran last October, I shot the match and I felt like I did okay, but I didn't feel like I did great. And Minnesota has a lot of really, really good lady shooters. So I didn't really think I stood a chance. It was a night match. I'd never shot a night match. My first couple stages were a little rough.
It was a Halloween themed night match.
It was a Halloween themed night match.
With costumes.
It was super fun, but I didn't feel like I did great. And when we got done and they posted scores and I saw that I had finally taken first place in a Minnesota match against the people that I always shoot with, like that's something I'll remember really forever.
With a really cool looking jack-o'-lantern trophy.
It is a really cool looking
trophy.
jack-o'-lantern trophy.
That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
We had a Halloween match. It was the Machete Yeti. And I was lucky enough. That was my first trophy. Third place, but the thing's freaking amazing.
Yeah. Travis made those, right?
Yeah.
You made our jack-o'-lanterns too for that. And it was the same day. That match was on the same day this year.
Yeah, he's always made great trophies, but super proud of it. Actually, he's the one building the trophies for the iOS 60 target challenge. So.
Nice. Very nice. Yeah. So I guess I don't really have one day. There was this one time I went down to North Carolina and shot a match with a bunch of girlfriends, and I ended up taking home second place overall and ruining Greg Stewart's chance at the Gapplebees trophy, and that was pretty memorable.
Awesome. Oh yeah, that's awesome actually. Yeah, you got to have 5 points from second to get the Gapplebee trophy.
Yeah.
And you would not let that happen, so that's awesome.
4. You beat me by 4 only.
4.
Yes.
Now you guys shot amazing. I got to admit, it was pretty cool seeing you guys show up. I don't think I've ever seen that many women shooters, and I thought you guys were like a motorcycle club or something. I'm like, what the hell?
Driving up in the minivan.
Yeah, I was like, oh man, what just happened?
The look on your faces as we walked in was like, who are these people, and are they here? Do they have? Wow, they're here to shoot. Okay,
it was pretty awesome.
Yeah. So Teresa has shot two other X. You shot our X match in the night match, and then you shot Iowa X match.
And I suppose that would probably be my biggest moment yet.
Iowa, yes.
Iowa.
Ooh, talk about Iowa.
Iowa match, X match. We drove down there and had a great time there, and I was just like, nah, we'll see what this is like. It'll be interesting. I don't know. And towards the end of the day, Ruth is coming up to me and she's like, I think you placed. And I'm like, no way. No, it didn't happen. Sure enough, I took second and it was pretty amazing. Still shocking. It was like, wow, I didn't think that was possible. It's kind of one of those, wait, I'm not that good, am I? And it felt like a crappy day.
You are.
Yes, exactly. I feel like that's a lady thing too, and I'm sure guys deal with it too, but with the women, my dog DJ. Hi everyone, DJ's here.
And drum roll for the night.
Our real guest tonight is DJ.
That's right.
DJ. But it's something that when I'm working with new shooters, especially the females, the confidence thing, and for myself too. That's what you need to boost. Like, I didn't even think that I was going to finish in the top 3, let alone take second place at that match. And, Chris was with us because he was coaching a young gun in our squad. And, I was just like, yeah, whatever, yada, yada. And he's like, I think you're going to be pretty happy after this. And we hadn't totaled up the scores yet, but he obviously knew based on how I was shooting that day. So there was something that he saw that I felt like, I was kind of getting wrung out. So I think that's something that's good to know when you're working, especially with new shooters in general, but especially female new shooters. The confidence thing is huge. Really just building them up for their successes, focusing on what they're doing well, and then adding in little things. I think all of our partners shoot, and many tears have been shed at the range for me. I don't want to speak for these guys, but
now, do you guys actually listen to your counterparts? Because usually that doesn't work in the world of teaching someone how to shoot.
I definitely learn better from other people. I take what he says far more personally, but if Justin said the same thing to me, I would totally listen to it.
Yeah. And to be super, I don't listen. I don't listen at all. I can't. We speak a different language too. That doesn't help. But I mean, I feel all the pressure. He wants to take what he knows and put it into my brain by just shoving it in over and over again, which does not work for me. I can tell that he wants me to be successful, but that pressure for me to succeed because he wants it to happen is so much more stressful. I'm already putting much pressure on myself. So I think we found out by happenstance that this works really well. We did a ladies' range day. A couple of the guys came along. I said, you're not allowed to talk to the person you came with. So if you're related by blood or relationship, you're not allowed to talk to them. And that was the only stipulation if they were going to participate. And it actually worked really well to have the guys there. They could answer my questions. They could answer anyone's question, but the female that came with them. And that was perfect.
That's actually really good. That's a good way to do it. You're not allowed to talk to your spouse.
Yeah, it works super well.
Great.
Yep. Yeah, because Nate could say something to Michelle, and I'm not going to say that Nate's done this, but I could see this happening, and for sure other men have done this, which will not be named. But he'll say something to Michelle in a way that's very like short and very maybe impatient even, and then turn around and explain it to me in a very patient way, because probably it's the first time they've explained it to me, which helps. But also I think there's just this dynamic that exists with couples or people who are related where, you know, the communication it's different.
We take it more personally when it comes from our significant other. Like if it's someone else's significant other or just a random guy in general, like I don't think that we take it nearly as personally. So it's easier to hear it from someone else.
Yeah.
For
No,
sure.
that's how it always has been. That's how it's always been. That's cool. Let's see here. Okay, so you guys didn't shoot any other shooting sports. You did this one already. How do we get more women shooters involved in the sport? What do you guys think? Like, you talked about the training things, but how do you get someone, say you're a lady that clicked on the YouTube, all of a sudden she's like, wow, that looks fun. But she doesn't know anybody that shoots. She doesn't, like, okay, now what would be your guys' answer to that?
So I think stuff like this, just having more examples. I went to NRL 22 Nationals in 2019, and Justin was shooting. I was just there to support him, and I didn't know what this whole thing was about. And I was seeing these other women competing, and I thought, I think I could do that. That looks like fun. So I started competing the next month. So I think having more females out helps, which doesn't really solve the problem, right? But hopefully situations like this where we're like, yeah, we don't know what we're doing and we don't feel confident either. Hopefully sharing that story helps other women realize you can just show up. It's okay. I think bathrooms would be
That's
a
really
huge thing
important
for me. So
Yeah, I could totally see that.
I made, I think, 8 trips to the bathroom during that match because, when I get anxious, I have to go to the bathroom every 5 minutes. And when you're shooting a match, there's a lot of anxiety involved. And staying hydrated is important. So, it's not so easy to just, find a tree if you're a lady. And I highly recommend, if you're trying to get more women shooters, you find a bathroom situation that works, preferably nearby-ish where you're shooting.
Yeah, because if you're on one end of the thing and you got to walk all the way back to go, hell, by the time you get back, you probably got to pee again.
Yep, basically.
Yeah, it's miserable when that happens.
I mean, I drink a ton of this stuff, but I can find a tree or a car door open.
Exactly. So that's the big running joke for matches where I shoot often is, how many times have I gone to the bathroom? I won the sportsmanship award because they said that they thought about who was smiling and like just friendly the whole time, and they saw me like 18 times because I kept walking back and forth to the bathroom. So I was just like,
she's saying hi to everybody. I mean, I don't know how she even has time to shoot.
So my small bladder helped me earn a trophy once.
That's awesome.
That's fun.
Okay, so that's something for match directors to think about. But maybe practice score, if you guys are, go to these Facebook sites on 22 Rimfire or whatever style match shooting you want to do is maybe another avenue of finding out. But if you go to practicescore.com, you can kind of click in your area and find a match. Just go see it, watch it. Maybe if you don't have any of the gear,
there's a lot of Facebook groups for different states too. So despite the fact that Facebook is stupid, that's a place to look because you'll find a lot of information there. Right. And then whoever said that there should be events where ladies shoot free, that's definitely encouraging. We did whichever month it was that NRL 22 was running the
February last year,
last
February
match, to get the highest number of lady shooters. Both Ruth's Range and mine did. The match fee was free for lady shooters, and that brought in some, at Ruth's match anyway, some ladies who had been there watching their husbands, and since it was free, they decided that they would actually try it. And now they come and shoot both of our clubs on a regular basis.
I harassed them so many times. When are you going to start shooting? When are you going to come and shoot? And so that was the month where they finally bit the bullet, and now they're regular shooters with us, which is super fun. Part of our Minnesota lady shooters group.
Yep. And one of them now, their daughter shoots with us as well.
Yeah. Super fun. So really a lot of word of mouth. Also, so the NRL 22 groups, I'm part of a lot of those. I know there's some PRS Rimfire groups as well.
You guys must
know Bevan, yay. She got sucked in February too. That's awesome. So I think post a question, just say, hey, I'm new to this. I'm in this general area. What matches are available in my area? People will literally like glom onto that and want to help you. It's an amazing community. As a match director, we both have loaner rifle systems, so you don't have to go get the gear. Come try it out, see if you like it, and don't spend money until you kind of know, and then follow the guidance of the people who've been there before.
I agree. Don't go out and buy a bunch of stuff, because more than likely 80% of it you won't use.
Absolutely.
You just wasted a bunch of money. It's already expensive enough sport to go, oh man, I just bought this and it doesn't work right, or it weighs too much, or it's this or it's that, or too whatever, you know.
Yeah, I know I probably wouldn't have even come to the February match where the ladies were free unless I had gone to the class that they put on, just to get the intro to the intro of understanding what it was I was getting myself into. So I had time to really think through it and understand it. Just showing up probably would have been too much, which is strange, right? So having that opportunity to really discover it before I jumped in even just to the experience was really helpful, and my gateway to getting into this. And now I'm like, yep, this is awesome. Never leaving.
Yeah, I want to talk about this is a good buddy of mine, Dick Hedges, and I will tell you, he's out of Florida. He's doing matches and starting the high school stuff, but it's BWPRC and it's the Black Watch, and he does a rimfire series out there. But what's really cool about it is all his junior shooters get to shoot free. They got tons of loaner rifles, ammo, everything. They do a practice session on like Fridays for the kids to really, to learn the sport. He's got a couple of daughters that are shooting it as well. And it's just amazing to watch this sport. They've been getting a lot of support from a lot of sponsors because of the junior shooters, and that's what it's all about, is those young girls and boys are someday going to be old like me, and we want them to be shooters. So
absolutely. And I just have to comment, so Tyler commented earlier that he can't afford for his wife to get into this sport, but also commented just now, but Rick, going out and buying all that gear is part of all the fun. So Tyler, if you stop going out and buying all the gear, you can afford for your wife to compete with you.
No,
and
and
it's not like she can't borrow it.
Yes, go out and buy it for her.
Yeah, exactly.
He's not going to let me meet his wife, because then she's going to Tyler shoots at our matches with us. So
Tyler personally.
Yeah.
He's been watching this disaster for the last few years now. So
nice.
He's always commenting, but that's awesome.
So I'm sure he was excited to see we're on here. He's like, oh geez.
Yeah, he texted me and said, anybody but them. No,
I get that a lot.
I'm just kidding. Let's see here. How rude. Now, do you guys know 22 Lima Romeo?
Yeah, Jeremy Walker of Jeremy and Bevan Walker, as I like to say. Yeah. So I think we met at a match once, maybe. Otherwise, I know a lot of people from interacting on Facebook, which is so fun about this community, because you see the same people commenting all the time, and they're doing some Tyler. If you start paying me, then I'll coach you. But it's super fun. They just started a series of videos on YouTube, starting to do a breakdown of the NRL 22 matches, which actually might help, like Teresa was saying, knowing what you're getting into. I think we're going to start doing some videos with Midwest Precision Shooting. I want to break down, what is dope, what does a holdover look like? Really focusing in the reticle is some of the things that I cover in my intro class, which helps people to understand. I have a clear transparency sheet with a reticle in it, and I have a printed out target. I make them show me, okay, if you're holding 2 mils, where's that at? Because people will sometimes hold up or down, and if they're in the scope, you can't see that. So really starting that basic is something.
It's not the big line; it's the one that looks like the one thing. And,
yeah, exactly.
That's the pain to do. Exactly. They're like, which one? And then you're like, no, not that one.
Yep. Exactly. And you're like, well, I think you're talking about the same thing I am. So it's something I think we can all do a better job of. I love to see people like Jeremy and Bevan out there putting this content out there to help people who are wanting to go to that course of fire. They can see how someone else shot it and how that worked out for them and things like that. So
yeah, that's cool. The when I go to a match, I try to videotape each stage, and then sometimes we'll talk about the course of fire and the good, bad, and the ugly. I show it all on my channel. Unfortunately, there's a lot of ugly. But it helps the newer shooters go, oh, okay, that's what a tank trap is, or that's what that is, or that's kind of one way to do it. Or, man, Rick really sucked it that way, so I'm never going to shoot it like that, or, whatever. But the good, bad, and the ugly, and it seems to help people. I get a lot of good emails saying, thanks for all the stuff you do or whatever. But
Nice.
So
Dick, where are you located? Sorry, now I'm all consumed by the comments. See, this is how I meet people online, because I'm like, oh, who else is commenting? Let me check. Sorry.
Well, if you see any questions out there that you want to answer, you just let me know. Or if you see something bad, we'll just delete the person.
So far, it's been great.
The communities in here is usually really good, but the problem is it's live. So if some knucklehead wants to click on it, that we don't know, all of a sudden you got some weird, funky thing going on.
We had one of those in our Minnesota NRL 22 group on Facebook, and he very quickly learned that that's not the culture in our group and got booted.
Pursuit Accuracy says scope cams are also great training, and he can watch his daughter through the camera as she's looking through the scope. So
absolutely, we were talking about that earlier. So where is Dick commented he's in South Florida. Okay, I haven't shot a match in Florida yet, and this is another thing. I have a scratch map where I want to shoot a match in every state. So
that's what I'm doing. I'm actually doing the same damn thing.
Nice, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So
how far west have you gotten?
You want to go to South Florida? It sounds like we need to go to South Florida.
It's actually, I've been down there. It's how far west have you gone?
I made it to Utah and Colorado.
Nice. I shot Utah. California don't count because I grew up out there, but.
Oh, well, see, I have to shoot California still. So, but Washington and Oregon are still on. Idaho. I got to get out to Montana. So I got a lot still.
Shot Wyoming, which was fun.
Nice.
New Mexico. Let's see here. Yeah. He has a really nice setup. What?
Evan's coming to Florida with us. Are you going to help us teach the class? We're going to teach a girls' class in Florida. I love this about the community. So we're teaching a class for ladies down in Missouri, right? Missouri in July. Bevan says she's in for Florida, so we'll make the arrangements. We'll figure it out. If someone's got a couch that we can sleep on with a shower and an indoor bathroom, that's all
the bus squad's coming back to.
Florida's got to be in the middle of Minnesota's winter.
You gotta need a video all that.
Get away from here.
Yeah, January is a pretty good time usually too.
Yeah,
I like Colorado, Lima.
Yeah, Colorado's nice. It's fun.
Let's see here. Brad says Sweden. Yeah, Dick is in Cuba. He's almost in Cuba because I went down there and then I decided to keep going south and went to the Keys. It was fun. There was a question earlier. I'll let you guys answer. What's the difference between NRL and NRLX?
This is a question that comes up a lot. We actually answer it on my next podcast teaser.
There you go. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
Heard it here first. So NRL 22 is a predetermined once a month course of fire. It's 5 stages that's released across the whole nation, and match directors across the whole nation that participate in the NRL 22 series will host those 5 stages. They may or may not add to them, but it's a predetermined. You can go on the website, you can view them ahead of time and see what you're going to shoot. The X series is supposed to be the next. It stands for extreme, but I had to tell those guys, extreme doesn't start with an X, unfortunately. But anyway, so the X series stands for extreme. And it's a course of fire. I believe it's a minimum of 10 stages, usually 10 to 12 stages long, 120 rounds or more. And you don't know any of the stages going in. So it's typically a larger match. It's a national series. People will travel for them from multiple states.
I enjoy the X matches.
I do too. Mm-hmm. I really do. The monthly matches are super fun for practice for those bigger matches, and they're really fun for getting new people introduced in a controlled environment and making it easy to host a match once a month, because I don't want to design a course of fire once a month. We do 2 a year for the X Match series. Our next one, by the way, is June 25th in Minnesota. So if you want to see a bunch of Minnesotians and how we shoot.
How do you shoot with 12 pairs of gloves on and 14 jackets?
In June
it's warm.
Yes, in June you won't need
the white stuff finally goes away in June.
The answer to that question for winter is we don't shoot very well. Neither do the guns, as it turns out.
Right.
And so this was a rough winter. I started looking for homes in the South so I could practice year round. No joke. I'm like, this is crap. I can't get out to shoot.
There's
The
no
weekend
way I
before
could
the
only
North
shoot 3
Carolina
months out of the
match,
year. I would go
degrees below
completely
zero
insane.
here, so.
I would buy a building that you could shoot long range in or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
If we just
So-
all buy houses in the same block, we can just build a tunnel.
Exactly. Yeah.
There you go.
So
We call it the 22 railroad.
yeah, I tried to convince them to buy the house next door so we could tunnel in from the basements, but it was a
Here's a good
no-go.
question from Ryan.
Not often, Ryan.
No,
So-
usually when I change from one type of ammo to another, I'll run it over the chronograph, but that's really about it.
What's your lady of choice for ammo selection?
Right now, I'm using SK long range because that's what my gun really likes, and I have enough of to last me a while.
And I go with Lapua NRX.
And I am currently shooting my very last brick of Federal Ultra Match.
Oh, you
So
won't have that for nationals.
I know. Well,
Oh, you
so
should say that.
it's RWS R50. Well, I already shot out most of it at the match. So I've got a new barrel to test anyway. So I've got a lot of work to do before nationals. But I have been shooting Ultra Match since I started. I knew a guy at Federal. I knew a guy, and he hooked me up with some ammo. So I'm going to be looking for what's going to shoot through my guns while doing a lot of ammo testing. But in terms of chronographing, it helps to chronograph at 3 different temperatures, in my opinion, but ultimately doesn't really something that I do regularly unless there's something weird happening and I have no other explanation. So I would check, in the winter months for us, I would not check below 10 degrees because I don't think it's worth shooting below 10 degrees. But then, somewhere around the 50s and then somewhere, 70s, 90s, somewhere in there, just to have those 3 different data points for muzzle speed and then make sure that your Kestrel says something similar.
Yeah, so that was going to be my next question is what do you guys use for ballistics? So it sounds like Bruce using a Kestrel.
Yes, not
rest-
super effectively yet, but I'm getting there.
got
Michelle
a
taught me
Kestrel.
how to use it.
Awesome.
I don't have a Kestrel. My husband
You-
does. But
What do you want running?
I have the Ballistics Arc app.
Okay. Seems to work well for you.
When you have the right ammo in there,
That
yeah,
helps.
it does help. I realized that after the North Carolina
That's an
match.
inside joke, I'm sure.
I was
Yeah.
adjusting all of my dope for the longer distances, and then on the way home, like in the van, this poof light bulb went on. I switched ammo, and I never switched it in my app. Went in and diddled it in and checked my numbers that I had written down and scribbled so I could have had some consistency during the match. And I'm like, look,
Yeah.
that probably would have been perfect.
That would have hit the target.
There you go. But at least you have the explanation now, and that's how you learn.
Yeah,
gotta
if you
get out
ever
there.
need temperatures like 115, 125, just go to Florida and you can get them hotter temperatures. So when you're, in case there's a course of fire on the sun and you guys need to shoot that match,
There you
guys
go.
you guys will have it.
Yeah.
You'll be able to have the data put into it.
Yeah. And if you want to
Actually,
get your numbers at negative 25 degrees, come visit us in January, February.
I actually want to get some colder temperature data. The what's the coldest you guys have shot in?
Minus 14.
Yeah, we shot. So Michelle's probably shot colder than us. We shot a match. We would have canceled it. It was our Tropical Paradise in January theme match we do every year in Minnesota at our range, and I make everyone wear stupid tropical leis and put grass skirts on to shoot the stages. It's super fun. We've had really good weather the first 2 years, and this year it was negative 10 degrees when we started the day without the wind chill. And we would have canceled it, I think, but our good friend Joe Knapp was in the hospital, sedated on a ventilator due to COVID, and we were running a fundraiser for him. So we all toughed it out, and 56 people showed up to shoot that match for
Wow.
for Joe.
In January for
That's
NRL.
awesome.
Yep. So it was the biggest national match. Otherwise, I don't think it's worth going. No offense. I missed a couple of Michelle's matches that they put on
Ruth
this year.
went out.
I was like, I'm not doing that.
You're all nope.
So at our club, we had January, February, and March. All of them were below zero. really seriously considered canceling, and we should have, because it's really, really painful to try and load a metal magazine when it's that cold out. And also the guns shoot terrible, and we're dressed like marshmallows. So, Ruth wrote the March Course of Fire and had that 5 barricade stage, and we were dressed like marshmallows. So, the wind chill in some of those was probably in the 20 below zero range. It was
ridiculous.
Yeah. Are you guys running hand warmers for your ammo to keep them halfway at a temperature?
I just put one in my ammo box.
I put my magazines inside my snow pants when it's cold like that, just to keep them warm.
Keep them warm. Yeah.
I also have heated socks. I highly recommend if you're shooting in cold weather. There's heated battery operated heated socks, and then battery operated hand warmers.
I tried the heated socks, but I like my wool ones better. They actually keep my feet warmer.
You got to do the real test. You got to run one wool and one electric just to see.
Yeah.
See which foot you
there you go. That's a good test. I like it. Scientific.
Yeah.
Maybe next year, because we better not get temperatures like that anymore this year. I'm over it.
Yeah, if I was going to a match like that for like a fundraiser, I would have rolled down my window and dropped the money off and left.
I think most of us there considered not showing up, but that's the only reason we did.
Yes.
Although, our matches for January, February, and March were not fundraisers, and we still had between 19 and 21 people show up.
You just want to get out of the
but a lot of you guys are probably wearing t-shirts and shorts because you're used to that stuff.
Not when it's that cold, but I will admit that when it got up to 45, I was in a t-shirt.
Yeah. I did take my sleeves off against my better judgment in North Carolina too, because I'm like 70 degrees, it's on. And then I got sunburned. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's always that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. We got any questions out there? It's a fun stage.
I think someone asked what club in Minnesota. So Michelle and Nate put on matches at Gopher Rifle and Revolver Club in Harris, Minnesota. And Justin and I put on matches at Forest Lake Sportsman's Club in Forest Lake, Minnesota. So
is that fairly close to each other?
They're about 20 minutes apart.
Yeah, they're close.
Yeah, not far.
We share
like there's a lot of places to shoot.
Yeah. Say that again, Rick.
Sounds like there's a lot of places to shoot out there.
Oh yeah. We have so many clubs. We have about an hour and a half from here. So our club's about 40 minutes. Their club's about an hour. We have one at an hour and a half that puts on matches. We have one south of the cities that's about an hour and a half or 2 hours. And then we have one in the western suburbs that's about 40 minutes too.
Here's a good question by Mr. Hedges. What are your goals as match directors? What are some of the things you guys are trying to accomplish?
Really, for our matches, we run the 5 NRL 22 stages. And we usually do some extra stages, and we really just want everybody to have fun and be safe. Safety first and then fun after that. We want our new shooters to have fun and our seasoned shooters to have fun. So we spend a ridiculous amount of time thinking up what we're going to do for extra stages based on how difficult we think that the 5 NRL 22 stages are, so that we keep everyone enjoying it.
Yeah. And Justin and I were competitive shooters. So he's finished in the top 10 at the Nationals for NRL 22 since he started shooting. So highly competitive. I was trying to chase his coattails for the longest time, but I beat him a couple of times now, which, is
that feels good. I'm sure.
In my cap. Yeah, it's good times. Mm-hmm. And it's fun to see everyone else egg me on as I do it and rub it in a little bit. But as competitive shooters and really being we invest a lot of our free time and our thoughts and our souls into this sport as match directors and shooters. So we're actually working on a match director handbook that we're about to publish. That's just advice for match directors. Some of the lessons learned that we have, it's about 40 pages, I'll warn you, but it's indexed. And we're going to release a series of videos to explain further some of our thought process behind it. But essentially, we strive really hard to put on a match that's first and foremost safe for everyone involved. Second, fair, so that we want to make sure that the people who finish, in first place were the best shooters that day, no matter the conditions, whenever possible. And second, third, fourth, on down. So whoever shows up and does the best that they can do with the equipment that they have, that's how we want the rankings to go. And then third, we want everyone to have fun and have a good time. So our matches are really focused on trying to minimize any environmental factors, because we all know when you go out and you shoot a match and you're sitting in the back of a pickup truck shooting at tiny little triangles and the wind is doing this during the lunch gust, on a 12-point stage, that you can get unlucky there, and that's going to impact your score significantly.
Like big time.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Especially when you hit target 5 when it was supposed to be 4.
Well, there's that. See, I didn't make that mistake. I would have deserved a miss for that error.
Yeah.
But
that's the reason why I sucked at it.
Well, getting your ass kicked when you don't get behind the line of fire to sure up those targets, man. Now next time you'll beat me. So, but we really have a lot of tips in there on methods that we believe will reduce the luck factor and increase the competitiveness, while also not demoralizing other shooters, because ultimately we want people to come back. We don't design the match for just the top 10 shooters. We want to challenge the top 10 to make sure that the number 1 shooter comes out on top. And we don't want it to be a meatball match for them, but we also want to make sure that enough targets are hit by the people who are just starting out, so that they don't up and want to quit.
No, what you're saying is spot on. I know quite a few people that run matches of sort, and they're like, I wish there was especially there's one out there in particular, but he's brand new to it and he's done an amazing job. But it's like, why isn't there a damn book of some sort to help, like a way to really, because he's all about making sure the new shooters are having fun, but he doesn't want 14 people to clean the whole match, So it's like there's a give and take in there. You got to make the new shooters at least make some noise every once in a while, and still have the top shooters cussing at you because it was tough,
Yeah. Or at least that there were a couple that really pushed them to their, like with the 90-second stages in North Carolina, that was huge. I haven't timed out on a stage and I don't know how long. I can't even remember the last one I timed out on. And 12, 15 round stages I haven't timed out on, and having 12 rounds in 90 seconds, that did it in some of those challenging positions. I timed out on 2 stages, I think. I timed out on my last shot. So that was huge, and it was good for me to push that hard. So it was fun.
So at that match that we all know what we're talking about, would you say every stage but 2 you had to do holdovers? Did you guys run it that way? I don't know if 2 is the exact number. I just kept going, man, I got a holdover again.
There was a lot of holdovers. I didn't dial very many stages. I don't remember how many I dialed, but it wasn't many.
Now, do you guys have a reticle that has 2 tenths on all the way down and all the way up on your reticle? Because if not, you would have had to dial on some of those. Yeah. Those targets are way too small to guess.
Yeah, I've been pushing. So I've talked to some vendors and given them feedback. I'm not shy about that. Some of them unsolicited too, but some of them have actually asked for feedback. And one of the things that I've said to the optics companies, and I'm glad to see Vortex just came out with their new reticle has 2 tenth marks for rimfire. I find it to be incredibly advantageous to have 2 tenth marks in the reticle. Yeah. I just don't see
it's almost a must for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no way, because I went from the Gen 2 to the Gen 3 and I'm pointing in the wrong damn direction over here. And like the one above it, like that one is a Gen 2 on the top. This one's a Gen 3, and that one over there is a Gen 3. But it was like, you cannot, those targets are too small to hold over.
And that's where we're getting to with the sport, is these rifles are capable, so the optics have to start matching that. So I'm glad to see that that's a trend moving. I think there's some other things in the works with a couple other optics companies to follow suit in that area. Maybe they heard my screams and cries in the night, but also I'm going to keep shooting Night Force if that's all I've got. So I think that's huge. I don't dial very often at all in matches, because I feel like it's another thing with my newer shooters that I emphasize, especially with, parents and young guns. I will tell them, make them do holdovers. Don't teach them to dial. Make them do holdovers, because they'll get good at it. And then dialing becomes something you become more efficient at. It's a mechanical thing. It's not a mental thing. So if you're already in the habit of being able to hold, there's never a situation where you have to dial. There's always a situation where you're going to have to hold. So I feel like it's a good skill to develop early.
That's well said. I would say it all depends on the course of fire and how small the targets are and how much time you get. I mean, how much moving around and all that crud you got to do.
There are
you
definitely
you will
situations where
be more
dialing.
accurate per se.
Yes.
Being able to dial everything if you had to hit a tic tac at 80 yards or something.
Don't get any ideas, Ruth.
But no, what you had said, especially like if you were to train that way, I mean, and you did nothing but holdovers, would be the way to go. I think a lot of people, depending on what reticle you have, and the match, there was a center fire match that I shot a few weeks ago in Georgia, and it was the confirmation target thing back and forth, and it killed me. I did bad. I don't see how I can't even talk. It's like I'm having a flashback and it's not good right now.
Don't go there. Just don't do it.
Yeah, it was bad. But I was like, okay. And then there's so many different ways to do it. It's like dial the first one and minus everything off of the other ones. But then if you don't write the other dope in and you get all screwed up and you're like, screw it, I need to dial. Then you're like, I don't even know what the numbers are. And like,
or if you forget that you dialed, and you shoot and you dialed and you hold. Wait, what happened?
Yeah.
That wasn't good.
Or if you dial your first one in and you do your math wrong.
I just went over the target like 5 inches. I think.
Yes, I always write the distance and my dope first, and then I write down if I dialed one, what the difference is between them.
Yep.
So that way, this is my hold is in the far right. But if something's weird, I look back and I go, what did I have dialed? And what distance is it? And does that make sense? It just gives me that extra little confidence boost.
Here's something I do that I probably one of the very fewest do. I do everything backwards to everybody. So tell me if you're backwards like me. If I'm shooting a course of fire and here's my dope card, right? It's on my rifle. I put my closest targets at the bottom and work my way out. Even if I have to go near or far to near, I always do it. So I don't. That's just how my brain works.
Yeah.
This target's close because it's at the bottom. I think of it as like the lay of the land. And that's how I do it. But I know most people do it the opposite way. They do it in the order of the Get him, DJ. Was it DJ?
I know. Well, this is DJ. That's Link. Link is my guard dog.
Oh, gotcha.
He's someone pulled into the driveway, so how dare they? It's probably Nate or something, maybe.
Yeah, it's probably
Or
Justin.
it's probably Justin. So I think
right?
the main point on what you said, I think is really important to hammer home, which is to have the way that your brain works matters. Because for me, I have to break things down into chunks. And I'm like, I'm going to tackle this part first, then I'm going to tackle that part. So then I'm going to tackle the dog. But the point being, do what works for you.
I had that when we did a match in Missouri. Like, I took a whole notebook up because we were going to be laying prone, and most people were writing. You had to go back and forth between distances. So like you'd shoot the close and then the next one, then you'd shoot you'd shoot 3 and then you'd come back to the second one and go one further out. And my brain just couldn't handle trying to remember what I was doing. So I wrote it down exactly how I was going to shoot it. And I ended up with the highest score on that stage of my entire squad.
Awesome.
So
see, that's
important to write it the way that it's going to work for you to actually shoot it.
Yeah, and sometimes I'll turn my dope card sideways if it's more of a course of fire this way, and kind of, whatever my brain decides is going to work. And sometimes I'll prove to myself that it didn't work. I'll be like, that didn't work.
Hey, that's just as good as something that does work for learning. That failure is important.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I learned something. And that was the best part of the match, was leaving. No, I'm just kidding. All right, other things that we can do to help promote the sport of shooting, not so much women, but as a whole.
As a whole, I think one thing I wrote an article for the MagTech catalog for this year. So if people get a chance to read that, it's kind of my story of getting into this and growing up in a liberal family, full of hunters, but more liberal. I think one thing that happens these days, and I don't see a ton of it in our community, at least not in the Rim Prairie area. But for me, that made a huge difference was being exposed to this sport and being exposed to this area judgment free. I could ask stupid questions. I could, not feel like, because, I grew up with what, most people refer to as FUDs, that I didn't belong in the community because of that. So I think being careful about how we express our political opinions, just to leave the door open for people to have questions. The more I was exposed in this area, the more those common sense gun laws don't make sense anymore. And I think that, the future of the Second Amendment, the future of getting people engaged in the sport, especially the people that go out and vote, the people that we need to convince, I think just keeping things open in a way where you can have open dialogue about heated topics, and just remove the judgment from it. Just be curious. Ask people why they feel the way that they do if it doesn't make sense to you. And then you can have a discussion about that. And, you might not get to a common ground, but it's okay because we're all here to shoot, right? So
Yeah, no, for sure. I was thinking too, another way to promote the sport may be to, I guess it would depend on the range, because you got your public ranges and then you got ones that you have to have a membership to and stuff, but it's almost have like a free day. I don't know how you'd post it. I guess if you do YouTube or Facebook or something, you could say, if you guys that know nothing about, NRL or PRS or whatever shooting sport it is, meet me at the range between, 10 a.m. and 2 a.m. and you can ask questions and try gear. And at the end of the day, you'll meet a few friends and have a good time, and hopefully you get someone involved, and they might be at the next match or whatever. So
the range that Michelle hosts her matches at, she's actually on the board for it as well, and they do a Women's Day. So I don't know how that started, if you know.
I don't know how it started. I know it's been going on for a really long time, but they shut down. It is a members only club except for public events. But they shut down the entire range. We have shotgun ranges, rifle ranges, pistol ranges, archery,
trap, skeet,
and 1,000-yard range. And they shut down the entire club, and I think they're going to have 40 ladies in this year. And they get to experience all different kinds of shooting. And Ruth and I started last year running a session about 22 shooting, and specifically NRL 22 PRS style shooting. So that brings a lot of people in. We've talked about doing like an intro day. We haven't really figured out a date for that, but that's something that one of the other guys at our club has done before, is have an intro day where people who are totally new to it can come and try it out. And it's not a match. It's just come and learn, but you actually get to also do some of the things. So I think those are things that help get people involved.
And work with the sponsors in this area for loaner equipment. For I know DST Precision has provided us ammo for the women's shoot every year. For the last 2 years, this year and last year, but they've also provided that for our other loaner rifles from time to time as well. There's something that MPS is working on right now that's very exciting that I posted a teaser about on social media. Getting people in front of equipment, I think, is huge, and especially recognizing that there's a lot of expense to this sport. So if you can try it before you buy it, that's huge. We have a whole plethora of loaner rifles, from Tika, Bergara BMRs, B14s. We have a lefty B14 now that I pulled off a prize table, which is awesome. And a lot of the sponsors have helped us finish those builds so that we can get them in front of shooters.
So Dick's been on my chat quite a few times. I'm sure I met his wife. She's very nice, but she's actually watching tonight. So that's pretty cool.
Awesome. What's Dick's wife's name?
Mrs. Hedges.
Mrs. Hedges. Hi, Mrs. Hedges. Welcome.
I was going to say, but then it'll probably be wrong, and then I'll screw it up, and then the next time I say it, smack me. So I'm just gonna keep my own safety. I can't go wrong with Mrs. Hedges. So
That's fair.
Mariah.
Mariah. Hi,
Hi,
Mariah.
Mariah.
All right, we got a few more questions. All right, so we know that the community of shooting is amazing. We know that it's very friendly, very helpful, very all these cool things you would say. But at some point, there's been a point having to deal with 95% men that there might have been some type of negative story that you guys might want to, maybe something that we can think of doing. With the bathroom thing was good, having more bathrooms at the match. But what are some of the other, not so much hurdles, but now let's go with negative things. And then maybe those things that you talk about are things that we can understand and shut the heck up about and be more cautious that there's more ladies around us or whatever.
Yeah.
So there's a hand grenade for you if you want to catch
anything?
it.
So actually for me, it's kind of the opposite. I don't want the guys to shut up about things or act differently. I want them to be who they are. I'm not going to get offended. Maybe I'm unique in that aspect, but I like it when the guys end up behaving like they normally do. Again, I might be a little unique in that I've been in technology for 20 plus years. It's kind of ridiculous. I've always been around guys. It's just what I expect. So I feel good comfort and pride when the guys end up doing what guys do and just being part of that and just being normal and natural and not like walking on eggshells and being very cautious and careful. It's just, I'm in this sport. I'm in it with you. I'm here to have fun. And if that means you have to be different for me to feel like I can have fun, that just doesn't feel right.
Yeah. I agree. Like I want you all to be who you are. In the entire time that I've been shooting, I've only ever dealt with one person that made the day miserable, and he thought he knew more than me, and he told me I was doing things wrong that I knew full well I wasn't doing wrong. And I just dealt with it, ignored him, and doubled or tripled his score by the end of the day. So, that showed him. But I agree, like, you shouldn't have to act differently around us, maybe do go find behind a tree instead of standing out in the middle of the field to use the bathroom. But really,
these are the things I want to hear because this is awesome. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
I would echo that too. Like, so I have a 14-year-old teenage boy sense of humor too. So I enjoy the banter and that sort of thing. I don't need people to step on eggshells. I will say, I think I've had a couple of experiences that haven't been great. One recently at the range that we host matches at, where I'm a member. I showed up after work to a member meeting, and I have a tattoo on my leg. And one of the gentlemen felt it was appropriate to lift my skirt to look at my tattoo. So wow. I have don't put hands on me, general rule. Yeah. And then there was one other guy who was similar to Michelle's story, was making some just off-color jokes that like were not fitting the scene. It's a family-friendly environment, and there's a lot of ladies there. I mean, he ended up rage quitting in the middle of a stage because he shot the wrong targets and got mad he didn't get points. So not a huge issue in our environment because people like that, self-evict. But yeah, I would say if you feel like you need to change your behavior to be around ladies, maybe think about your behavior a little bit and know your audience, right? Because there are certain men and when you're around kids,
boys.
Yeah.
It's like, and those are the things like the bathroom thing. So, Dick Hedges, he's a match director. He's like, I never thought bathrooms as a selling point, but yeah, I mean,
yep.
If you got ladies there, and you have to walk, I'm just going to exaggerate, 100 miles to the end of the stage that way and 100 miles that way. Obviously, I'm exaggerating.
Yeah.
But sometimes it feels like it's 100 miles when you're trying to get there and back before it's your turn to shoot again.
Oh. I was watching a match where they parked 2 pickup trucks in a V and put a bucket. And the closest bathroom was a 25-minute drive. And I was like, if I was shooting this match, I would have wanted a refund.
Oh, wow.
Oh, and it was at the bottom of a hill.
And at the bottom of a hill where all the guys are up there with their spotters. So it's something that I didn't even think about the first match that I hosted until I started shooting a little bit more and realized, oh, well, that was a long walk to the bathroom for the ladies. So last year we brought out porta potties. So it's not something that I think a lot of people even consider. It's something I talk about all the time. One, because I have a small bladder, but two, because I know people don't think about it. So
yeah, no, that's definitely a good thing to think about for sure. Oh, and especially too, if some of these, because I've been to some of these matches and they're way out in the middle of nowhere. So it's like, if they don't tell you to bring a lunch, hopefully they're supplying a lunch or something, or giving you a heads up, like, hey, bring a lunch, because you're going to use a whole tank of gas trying to find it.
And water is like, in my opinion, a minimum you should be offering to your
You lie. It's sweet.
Exactly.
Let's see here.
What else you got for us?
Oh, yeah, you want some more? Let's go. All right. Do you like the 120 seconds over the 90 seconds? That's a simple one.
I think I'm just more used to it. I had a rough time at the North Carolina match. I actually had gone on Facebook and I had read some of Chris's previous courses of fire. So I expected 90 seconds, and I had done a little bit of practice with 90 seconds, but not enough. So I did time out, which whatever, I was more concentrating on getting impacts than getting a bunch of misses in 90 seconds. But I think there's benefits to each. It just depends on how your course of fire is written.
I like the challenge. I thought it was great. I mean, I expected the timeout, and it makes you focus on your impacts and just take the shots you can make, and take your time and forget about the time. When it's done, it's done. Move on.
Yeah. And I mostly shoot 90 seconds, and like the other day we shot NRL match, and it was a 2-minute deal, and I'm like, I'm going at my 90-second rate, and the guy's like, you got plenty of time. And I'm like, gosh, it seems like forever. You're done. You already got your stuff bag, and then finally it's all bang. You're like, oh, geez.
Yeah. I actually like, we did 120 seconds at our X match last summer, but we did some stages that had a lot of complicated movements. So it really depends on how you want to write your course of fire. We're going to write the course of fire for this summer with 90 seconds in mind, because we had 102 shooters last summer, and we're expecting maybe like we can accommodate up to 120 for this summer. And by the way, if you're going to register for that match, do it soon, because it's filling up quick. But we're going to run probably 90 seconds.
Are you guys going to be doing that crazy match? I think it's in Minnesota somewhere. It's $700 entry fee deal.
No.
Nope.
Do you know anything about? You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Right?
Yep. Eric Giel is your guy for that. So if you want to know more information, ping me or find me on Facebook or whatever the case is. I'll hook you up with Eric for that one. But no, that's too much. I need to buy ammo, man. I'm not that confident.
Hey, if you clean one stage fast, though, you're getting $600, which is almost your entry fee.
Yeah.
Every stage is basically a tiebreaker stage.
Yes.
If you think about it that way.
Yep. I know. I just can't. I'm going to sit back and watch this one with a lot of interest and intrigue. I might even RO it, depending on when it is. But yeah, Eric comes up with the coolest ideas. He also hosted the Polar Vortex match. If you saw anything about that, it was, what was it, like negative 20-degree wind chill in the morning, and he shot in snow, and yeah, that was intense.
No thanks. Ruth, did you keep adding your director's handbook to not have any prone stages?
Tyler doesn't want any prone stages.
I did Tyler talk about mixing it up so that people don't get bored.
Too many prone stages are boring, especially if you got those stupid concrete shooting benches in there.
Tyler and I are super similar shooters. So I like the 90 seconds. I like a lot of movement. I like hardly any prone at all. You learn to get really efficient. And so, I mean, Chris's match was really well suited for me, because that's the kind of stuff I enjoy, shooting off of barricades in rapid succession. But that was an advantage. That type of match is what appeals to me. And that's how it goes sometimes. But you show up and you shoot a whole bunch of prone stages, I get bored. So.
Yes. All right.
Tyler,
I got 3 questions left. How much time we got? We got 10, 11 minutes left. If you were queens for the day, what would you change about this sport, if any?
If I'm queen every day. What would I change about the sport?
Do we have to pick one thing?
No, rock on.
Okay. So more ladies and youth involvement, a higher presence. So we have some sponsors who are really great, and we have a ton of small businesses that get really involved, but it would be awesome just to see how this sport could grow if we got more support in bigger ways to do bigger things, television type, like get it out there. I truly believe that this sport is going to change the landscape for the gun world and the gun industry, and it already is in a lot of ways. So that would be huge. And then the third thing is the bathroom thing, which we've already visited a bunch of times. So
yeah, you need to just bring a porta-john trailer and like haul it to each stage.
I've thought about it. I've thought about those little portable pack things, but the logistics of that situation just
sounds a little messy.
We used to have those some of the basically I used to work for the fire service, but we'd have crews that would go out and they'd bring a truck with the bathroom on the back of it when they were doing project work.
Nice. I like it. I'm gonna make a meme out of that for myself.
So 0.28 match. That's kind of a good one to talk about. Let's see.
What about you guys?
Yeah, queens for the day.
I'd swap it, and I'd make this a women's sport and make it rare for men to be there.
I like it.
Just for the day, that would be enlightening.
But
have you guys thought about, they have NBA and then they have WNBA. Have you ever thought about like running an all-female match?
We talked about it. Yeah. Because I would love to just see the scores submitted where it says all.
You guys could RO and.
Yeah. Ooh, I like that idea. That'd be good.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Kind of cool.
They get to tell us as if we got an impact or not and when we're out of time. I like
it. I love it. Yeah. So we just got to get more women that are willing to commit to it, because we'll put it on between our Michelle and I will run it for sure.
Yeah, put it on in Florida, and then it can be like a summer break thing, and then you can go to the beach afterwards and have
all
fun.
right. So this is becoming class match, ladies only match situation, but then I have to be able to shoot it, so it's gonna have to be an NRL 22 match, so I can scratch it off.
Now, do you guys not shoot any PRS stuff at all?
There just really
isn't. Oh, you don't have it out there,
area.
Huh?
I shot the finale last year. We had a club early on that was participating in PRS, so I shot those matches, and then I drove down to Missouri. Actually, there's a Gadsden range. I think Reese Bowes was on here earlier.
It was.
Yeah, so her dad puts on matches there for PRS.
Looks like you got another shooter.
Careful, Ryan. We had a ladies only range day, and there were a couple of men that showed up, and we made them wear dresses. No joke. I was like, you can stay, but you have to wear a dress just to, feel a little bit of the breeze.
They put some real cute prom dresses on.
It was cute. Yeah,
very cute.
It was fun. But yeah, so yeah, I think that would be I think that'd be fun. So I did that was a PRS. So I shot their regional there and then shot the finale in Texas. I'd like to shoot both. I think both series have positives and negatives, and really good people ultimately, which is, I enjoy in PRS getting to be a shooter and not, NRL.
I think of it as basically NRL X, a little spin of different here and there, but.
Yep, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
That's why I like shooting the X matches so much, because it's kind of the same.
Exactly.
And we got time for one more at least. Dun, dun, the dreaded question of the Mulligans. Do you think Mulligans are good or bad for the sport?
I've had matches where I really enjoyed being able to use them.
So I've had one or two.
Really, I'd rather not see them, because there's been matches where really you're getting to redo a stage, and so you're not really getting the same experience, and mulligans generally cost money. So if you don't want to spend the extra money, now you don't get the same advantage someone else does. I don't know. I guess I'd like to see everybody's scores as however you shoot it, that's how you shoot it.
I feel mixed about it because as a match director, it's actually a great tool for making enough money to cover expenses at a match or pay your ROs. So in that sense, or donate to charity, that kind of stuff. I love it from that aspect. I do think it can have a tendency to slow down the match, but if you execute it correctly, it doesn't make a huge impact. So it's not a big deal on that front. What I really love them for is if you have a mechanical failure or, a small blip, that doesn't reflect
that happens all day long, the blips.
Well, it doesn't help if you do it every stage. You only get one. But if you have that one stage where, your magazine jammed up on you or your round didn't extract because you had one round in there that, messed up. I've seen that happen, and it's really nice to be able to use that mulligan to recover. I used mine in Iowa. I was off a rev for my first 3 shots and took me a while to figure it out. And I corrected it. I used my mulligan. I recovered and I ended up winning. That was my first overall win at a match. And so you could say, I think looking back at the scores, I would have won anyway. But the point is, that was my very first match of the day. And having that mulligan helped me set the tone for the rest of the day. I still shot, lights out the rest of the day. So it's really, I don't hate on them like other people do, but I also understand where people are coming from. So you have to be smart about when and how you use it.
I think as a newer shooter, I've had the opportunity to use mulligan, and I really appreciated it when I went, oh, that was dumb. Let me redo that. Thank you. But it is an interesting challenge, I think, of whether it is useful or not, helpful or not, acceptable or not.
Well, like I said, I liked being able to use mine. I picked up a lot of impacts when I've used them. But the problem is when you have stages of different values and, you start on a semi-blind stage and now people are using a mulligan on a semi-blind stage that's no longer semi-blind. You just got to spend 2 minutes finding everything that everyone else had to go up and find. And if, depending on where you start in a match, you may get completely hosed if you didn't know that stage was there.
And as a match director, you really have to keep that in mind if you're going to use mulligans. If there's stages that you, like if you have a semi-blind or a blind stage, you can't have mulligans accepted on that stage. That needs to be written out. Also, you need to post if you're going to have mulligans and what the cost is in advance, in my opinion. So to address what Michelle said, all the information you can put out there in advance, the better. You also need to explain to your ROs in a way that they can run it consistently because, are you going to have that person go immediately, or are you going to have one person in between, or are you going to put them at the back of the line? And that needs to be communicated in advance so that it's done consistently all day. And that's really the key in my opinion. We did survey our shooters after last year's match, and we found that 70% of people liked them. Out of the 102, I think we had 80 people respond to the survey. 70% liked them, 20% didn't care, and 10% said no. So
wow, that's good statistics to hear, because I haven't heard any polling numbers like that, and it just seems like the people that I've talked to, they prefer not to have it, because like in every other professional sport, they even real pro golf, they don't have a mulligan, right? That's why it's very important to make sure you're dope styled correctly, and all the things you got to go through in order to make it work. But it is nice when all of a sudden you have a mechanical failure and you're like, thank God there's a freaking mulligan,
Yep. So there's another way to run them too, Rick, is have as a match director, hand them out to every shooter, and you're only allowed to use it if you have a mechanical failure.
See, and I'm kind of cool with that, because I'm not a big fan of the mulligan. I think I understand like the match directors needing to figure out ways to utilize that as a platform to capture money for whatever, right? Buying new props or whatever the case is. And that was kind of the reason why I started the whole Target thing. But it's like the mulligan thing is something that just, I don't know. At the end of the day, there's no other sport that has a mulligan.
Mhm.
Except for in tennis, you're allowed to have a let serve. I'm just saying.
A
Redo.
Letzer? What the heck's a Letzer?
Sorry, what do they call it when you miss your first serve in tennis? You get a second try.
Oh, when it hits the net thing?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, or if you miss it out of bounds, I think. So
yeah, well.
someone knows tennis things.
Yeah, so who's a tennis champ out there?
I just had to stir the pot a little bit there.
Let's see. We got a couple saying make ROs understand how they are to be used. I got hosed on a match being passive. Can I get some for positional punisher? That's going to be a tough match. Too bad you guys live so far away because that match you guys would enjoy. It is the worst match that he puts on. And a good
Sounds amazing.
I mean, it's like you shoot matchsticks at like 1,000 yards with a 22, and you got to kill Tic Tacs in a mile. So it's a lot of fun.
That's fun.
And everything's like super wobbly. Every barricade's like built on springs, so you're like.
Sounds like something Tyler would want to shoot.
Yeah, so it's definitely fun to. No, it's not fun. It's entertaining at the end of the day because you just want to go home.
It's called Punisher, right? So
yeah.
There are matches like that.
You know what you're getting into.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the biggest key for match directors. Be clear about what you're bringing people into. If you're going to do a Punisher match like that and people don't know and they're new to the sport, like in Rimfire, most everyone is new at some point, right? Make sure that people know walking in what they're getting into. Otherwise, you're going to have some people who are pretty demoralized.
Oh, it's called a fault and a double fault.
Yes, exactly. So we'll change the name from Mulligan to Fault. Fault, I need to start over.
No. I won't vote yes on that. Let's see. And I think that's it. Any other stuff you want to tell these great people out there watching?
No, just thanks for watching and share with the people in your life that aren't into this sport. It's an amazing community. I'd love to see it continue to grow and just be nice to each other and be welcoming. That's all we can really do to help.
And bring a portage on with you.
And yes. That too.
A mobile crapper. We need a mobile crapper over here on aisle 4.
You can put my picture and name on it. There's a couple of pictures of me with thumbs up next to the porta potty.
There you go. You could rate each one. That could be like a new YouTube channel.
I love it.
On a scale of Ruth, it's 4 bullets or something,
Yeah, there you go. I like it.
All right. Well, everybody out there, thanks for showing up, having fun with us. Don't hit any buttons yet, guys. I'm gonna click off and then we can crack up for a minute. Let's see. All right, you guys have a wonderful day and see you on the next one.